Finally, our last presenter is Mark Hober from Unica Corporation. Mark?
Hi, thank you, Barry. It's good to be here. My name is Mark Hober. I'm the manager of the documentation group here, which is about 10 full-time writers doing all the documentation for all of Unica's products. Unica is a recognized leader in marketing software solutions. We integrate and streamline all aspects of online, offline marketing, and we have both enterprise or on-premises solutions as well as on-demand or hosted solutions. We're in Waltham, Massachusetts. We're about 400 employees. So our number one business goal in adopting DocZone, is common to the other presentations, is content reuse. We have a lot of similar content. We have a lot of solutions and products that share technologies or components of technologies. And we want to reduce the maintenance nightmare of that from, which was really the result of copying and pasting lots of content in lots of different places and then trying to keep up with changes across that as well as across different versions of products that we were supporting simultaneously. Also related to that is the speed of creating new publications, of gathering existing content and being able to gather and publish it for new contexts or new solutions that we were offering. And really the problem came down to every time there was something new we had to do, we were reinventing the wheel in terms of putting together publications and copying content. So our main goal was to ease that pain and make it ourselves scale better in that area. Streamlined publishing, it's related but not quite the same issue in that when we were all using desktop publishing tools, they gave us a tremendous amount of capabilities in terms of formatting and perfecting all our publications. The downside of that is we had multiple people spending a lot of time reinventing the wheel again in that and taking up more time and effort than it should. So we wanted to remove the burden of that and basically enable all our users to create different types of publications from the same content with a single click, and that would help us get lots of new solutions out the door quickly. And ease of translation is another big point in our adoption of DocZone that we really needed as we expanded more internationally. We needed to streamline everything we had to do in terms of translating and publishing our content. In the old solutions, we had a lot of importing and exporting of files, a lot of project management above that. It was very error-prone, and we often didn't know what content we really needed to have translated. So we would basically redo a lot of work that wasn't necessary and didn't have a lot of visibility into those needs. So in terms of measuring the return on our investment in DocZone is I believe Allison said, there's no good formula for measuring content reuse. It's a tricky formula. I mean, I can give you counts on how many topics are reused where, but the real value in what we do is really figuring out how often we should reuse topics versus how often we appropriately do reuse those topics. But those are judgment calls. So coming up with a perfect metric to capture that is difficult. I do know from the experience of going through this process for the last few years that we're reusing most of our content for multiple solutions, multiple products, multiple versions, and it's significantly helped us scale to provide all the content that we do. You can go to the next slide there. Streamlined publishing. Certainly in putting together new publications for either new products or solutions is a much quicker process. It's very easy to search the repository, find what we need, drag and drop it into another publication, and publish that as we need to in the format we need to. It's really a matter of hours versus days previously. Another result of that is writers do not need to spend a whole lot of time formatting documents or playing with the desktop publishing tools. It's all automated. That saves us a lot of time. In effect, that also makes us lose a little bit of control over the presentation. But for the most part, I'd say it's still very high quality presentation of all our content, but we don't have that fine-grained control that we used to have. In ease of translation, we're really in the first very large-scale translation project with DocZone right now, and it's going quite well. We don't have to worry about error-prone file management, importing, exporting files, working with the vendor offline. It's all integrated into DocZone, and it's going well. The reports in DocZone that we're getting on what needs to be translated are very helpful. It still takes some management involvement to identify and set up these projects. It's certainly, just by the nature of XML and DITA versus old desktop publishing tools, it's saving us a good bit of money, and also through reuse, is saving us a good bit of money in that topics can be translated once, and that localized version is reused just as the English is. So our overall results, we have about a third less staff than we did a couple years ago. That's not because of CMS adoption, it's just the economy for the past few years, and that's hit the company across the board. The flip side of that is we're trying to get back to growth by expanding into new markets, both overseas and on-demand markets. So we have about 50% more projects, and so far I think we are managing that quite successfully, and I don't think we could have handled all that in our old systems. And currently we're managing in DocZone about 75 publications. We also support multiple versions of software in the field at one time. So we're keeping 2 to 3 active versions of each publication active. We have, it's rapidly growing, but it's well over 10,000 topics in the system now, and we are translating currently into 4 European languages. You can go on there. Thanks. In terms of selling this investment to the company, this is a few years ago when we really started this process. What worked was aligning the project with the overall company strategy. We knew as a company we were moving towards packaging and selling different solutions of common software components to new markets, and that really argued for heavy reuse and not reinventing the wheel in terms of content for each new solution we were getting into. It's really the same principle behind the engineering side of it, where it's the same software components were being repackaged in different contexts. So we aligned with that goal. International expansion has certainly been a company priority for the last few years, and ease and speed of translation aligned with that. And basically what those came to argue for me, and from my point of view, that it was much more productive when selling to upper management, this idea was much more productive to focus on the top line, that this was going to help us get to market more quickly, recognize revenue more quickly, especially when we were delaying recognizing revenue because content was not complete and delivered. So we really aligned with the growth goals of the company, and in my view, at least in this situation, just focusing on productivity gains alone was not enough to really make this project successful. Surprise returns of this project. This is wasn't totally a surprise. It was certainly a good lesson for us. Is that adhering to standards made continual change and improvement in our system much easier to do.